Hey everybody, Psychosaurus here, and today has been patched and it's pretty big. Especially there's part of it, the advisor rework, and also there's been a blog update, and it also contains the changes here. So I'm gonna go through it and pretty much tell you my opinion about it. So let's get started. First part here is the advisor reworks. I'll get to it later. So pretty much a lot of changes. Believe me, there's a lot of changes. Another thing. Legendary quest AI gear. Pretty much during the legendary quest, the AI does not have helmets or anything on their head, so pretty much it's just, hey, I got armor, weapon, maybe shield. That's it. So from now on, they should also get the helmets, and pretty much just this is just a visual thing right now. So bug fixes and minor changes. So what is also part of this? So pretty much some improvement to Spanish, German, French, Italian versions of the game. Fixed an issue where, and this is something I mentioned in my Legendary Advisor video, Babylonian war chariots would do friendly fire when using Chariot Rider. Sargon fixed an issue where Babylonian siege towers would do friendly fire when they had units garrisoned inside. So pretty much they removed the friendly fire for Babylonians units, and now it's only the arrow ships that do friendly fire. Okay, invasion of Verona, more map exploit fixes added. I don't know what they're talking about, so don't ask me what this means. It's just, hey, they already fixed the walls and that's it. So I don't know what this is about. Fixed the bug that allowed garrison units to be ejected over cliffs. That's a new thing to hear from, and honestly I don't know if it's like good or bad, because you might do some weird strategy like getting, maybe like dropping thrower on a up on a cliff and then just start sieging from there, or maybe just getting units stacked up on the cliff. So pretty much this could be both. I think it's fine. And this is my favorite. Rasbow of the Solstice has been buffed to grant 11.9% movement speed from 6.2%. This affects existing bows. So yeah, pretty much Rasbow of Solstice. I'm happy because I got few of those. So for me it's definitely a buff. I like it because my units are now faster. Yay! Why not? Fixed an issue where Sword of Tiberius and Ropes of Babylon, those are two new craftable legendary items, if you don't know, couldn't be traded after being crafted. This affects existing crafted items as well as future ones. Yeah, pretty much you would craft them, you cannot put them into the vault and send them to others safe or just trade them with other players. So this is the hot fix that should not be happening here. All Palintorons now deal the same amount of bonus damage versus buildings, 2.5 times. So pretty much this is a nerf for two Palintorons, and that's the Greek one and Babylonian one. The other two, Persian and Egyptian, already had 2.5 times if I remember correctly. So it's a nerf. Personally, I don't really care because I'm trying to avoid Palintorons as much as possible. So for me, if I use Palintorons, it's rather situational, and also there are a lot of quests trying to ban Siege and the Palintorons explicitly, so I don't really care, and pretty much, yeah, just nerf for two civs. Eh, would I agree with it? Should it go up or down? I don't know. I think this is just right thing to do. So every Palintoron should be the same pretty much. So why not? And also, Halloween event is finally coming, and it's actually written here. It's coming on October 23rd, so for, from now on, it's this Friday. So hope you're ready. We're gonna have some Halloween. what's part of it. You get all previous quests, vanity gear, decorations, so you can look forward to the free legendary quests, free mini quests. Also, we're getting a new mini quest, 2 new legendary quests. I'm already looking forward to it. We get 2 new pieces of event gear, which we can see here. Looks like axe and the religious item. And 10 plus new capital city decoration items. And I think we can see this right here. So we get like some kind of pumpkin houses. We get some, I don't know, like pumpkin on a pedestal, some grave, a crypt. Got some sarcophagus and coffin in 2 versions, one closed, second open. So that looks really nice. So hey, if you're looking for some decorations, this might be a good thing. And also, Bahram's Lottery announced again. And oh boy, this one has been announced a long time ago. And if I remember, it was announced last year in May, I believe. So it's been a really long time. Last time I checked it, I think it was that long. So yeah, those are the changes. Definitely, like, I don't really care about like the way the AI looks. It's just nice addition. So why not? Babylonia is not doing friendly fire. Okay, it's fair. Fair. Rasbo, the buff is pretty huge. So if you have some, hey, good for you. Sort of Tiberius robes, just a fuck big. Splinterons being nerfed. I'm okay with that. Looking forward to the Halloween, definitely a lot of stuff coming, so definitely looking forward. Bahram's Lottery, I wonder what we will get in there. So yeah, if you want to check this for yourself, I'll leave the link in the description. Now let's move on to the advisor changes, and these are pretty huge, and oh boy, it's gonna be another hour I think. So let's read this. Greetings fellow Celeste players, here's a quick review of the changes coming to existing advisors with today's patch, making them more interesting, viable for players throughout their questing adventures. This includes buffs, reworks, and in a few rare cases nerfs to some particular advisors. Here's the list of changes. And believe me, there's a lot of big changes. So, first one, Netmaker APEP. New effect, villagers gather food 15% faster from fish, berry bushes, and huntable animals, and have 30% conservation. The old effect was that they would gather only 12% faster. So this is some nice buff. So I'm just gonna read the epic ones if you're wondering, okay? Because pretty much you just want the epic ones and the weaker ones. Not that they would be bad, but you just want to get the epic ones. So gather 15% faster. That's quite big, especially when we consider the huntables. But now with the addition of conservation, and I'm not sure if they actually had part of the old effect also the conservation. Some advisors don't don't have or didn't have it mentioned in the description. So I'm not sure if Alpha was one of those that actually had it. So I'm just gonna say, hey, if they had, then it's a huge buff. Actually, 30%. If you don't know what conservation means, pretty much imagine berry bush, and I think it's actually also described here. Imagine a berry bush. One berry bush starts with 300 food. So if you have the Netmaker RPEP for your first age advisor, that means you get 30% conservation. So one berry bush can give you up to 390 food. So the 30% conservation means you can get 30% more food from that one berry bush. So you could say every berry bush gives you extra 90 food. And if we consider the fish, that's extra 300. So you might also consider using villagers for fishing instead of fishing boats just to get more food. I would not do it because then I would rather use Finbar for that. it would be better. So this is rather for it's not correct actually. If it's like, hey, there's just a small lake with one fish spot, then I guess that would be better. Because why would you build docks and fishing boats just for that one fishing spot anyway? Okay, so comment. Some of the economic advisors, while looking pretty good and useful at first glance, simply couldn't compete with some of the powerful options available in H1, such as Closet Organizer Irene, Apprentice Mason Phelan, and Slave Driver Zephyrs. Still, I don't know why everyone's so obsessed with Slave Driver Zephyrs being so good. I don't find him that good. I find him good, but not that great. I still like Irene most, but I'm kind of getting used to Phil. And now with the changes, it might be different. So we are adding in an element of conservation to these advisors. What is conservation, you might ask? It's when you get more resources out of a resource node than you normally would. For example, one berry bush holds 300 food. When you have 30% conservation, you get 30% extra food from each berry bush you gather from. I should put here you get extra 90 food to make it more clear. Okay, let's move on. Survivalist Agathon. Villagers cost 25% less food and have 50% more health. The old stats, villagers cost 20% less food, have 50% more health. So pretty much the only buff here is that the villagers are actually cheaper. And it's not that huge, it's like 5, 4, 3, 2%. And I already liked Agathon a lot on some quests, especially when I need like some early units for defense. So I was always thinking of Agathon getting villagers cheaper and then just getting some spearmen for defense. So I already liked him like that. So this buff is not that huge, but I still think he's a pretty good choice no matter what. So if you like him, hey, try him out. I think he's good for early game, getting some few or getting the villagers cheaper so you can save food and get some other units for defense. I think he's pretty good as he is. Okay, comment. Survivalist Agathon is an interesting advisor and can open up slightly different ways of using your villagers. That's right, you can also use some kind of offensive villager if you feel like it. I don't think it's really that worth, but just go with units. So we are just upping his power level a little bit so that he becomes a bit more incentivizing. I don't know what that means for players to use. Okay, let's move on. Axthrower Agwald. Move to H2 from H3. So if you don't know what he does, he increases attack range and line of sight for your throwing axeman. He's Norse exclusive advisor. And personally I agree with this change. Like typically when you reach H3 you probably don't get that many throwing axemen, and if you do, you already have some good front line to actually keep them safe. So moving him to H2 makes more sense to me, so they actually keep safe the safe distance from the enemy, and might be easier for you to micro and just use the spearman for frontline. I think this is a nice buff. Just have some nice option for the early game for the throwing axeman. I still like throwing axeman even late game can be useful. So it's a very nice change, and I definitely agree that it should be in Bronze Age, not Silver Age. So definitely good change. Axe Thrower Agwald seems way more useful and synergistic in H2 compared to H3, so we are moving him there. Note that this does change the number of advisors available per age for each civilization, but there will eventually be either a new set of advisors in the distant future or another rebalancing of current advisors to make sure this balance is kept intact. So we can look for, well, probably for some new advisors as well. Definitely with Romans there will be some new advisors. But that does not mean they cannot add some more. Okay, Queen Boudica. New stats. All resources trickle in at a rate of 4.0 per second. All stats, all resources trickle in at a rate of 2.0. So pretty much they doubled her effect. And this is pretty huge. Like, this can mean a lot of resources per minute. And it's every single resource. So you get 4 food, 4 wood, 4 gold, and 4 stone per second. So in total you get like 240 resources a minute, which is not a little. Like that's quite a number. You could also say, hey, I get a free tower in less than a minute with her. This is actually quite huge. But your economy typically in late game is so big that at the end Boudica is not that useful in my opinion. For me like this is a huge buff, but I feel like it's a wrong buff, and instead what I would do is move her to like H3 instead. Will she be picked like this? I don't think so. I think there are still better advisors to choose from, and typically in Golden Age you want rather some military power, like advisors for your units that you focus on. So for me, Burica is rather situational. I could see like one quest where I would pick her, but overall I don't think this is a that good change like at all. But hey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's actually bigger than I think. But like I said, in Golden Age you have so big economy that buying stone, buying wood should not be a problem. Food, who cares? You got farms. Gold, who cares? You got caravans. And then you can use the gold to trade for the other two resources. So for me, it's not a good change at all, and I would rather see something different. And here's the comment. Our lovely Celtic queen could use a little buff, so we are increasing her resource trigger rate. This is my opinion. I don't think she needs the power increase. I think she needs to be moved to some other age, because at this in Golden Age she's not gonna be that great. If you moved her to Silver Age, that would make her more appealing, in my opinion. Because I could see her in Silver Age with less resources. And could be like good competitor to like Stephanos for the cheaper towers and fortresses, like, or even Bolgios as well. So I think she would fit more in Silver Age than Golden Age in my opinion. Okay, let's move on. Brand the Bloodletter. New stats. Volt Raiders have 15% more hit points and gain a 25% chance to deal a critical strike. Old stats, they would have 30% hit points, 30% crit chance. So it's a straight nerf for this, and I agree with this. Like 30% and 30%, that's just huge. So the 15%, Volt Raiders will be dying more often. The crit chance, so they don't have that huge damage. Volt Raiders should be some kind of glass cannon unit when you think about it. They just charge in, do their damage, and die. And you just keep replacing them. So with this, they should be dying more often and doing only slightly less damage. So the thing is, they will be dying more often, so you will have to replace them more often, which can be quite difficult for your gold income, but believe me, there's a lot of advisors change that now it would not be problem. So for me, this health part is actually not a huge deal right now, and you will see soon why I think that. Okay, comment. Early in Project Celeste's development, we significantly increased the health of World Traders. While we are very happy with the fact that they are now viable options in Legendary Quests, which they weren't previously, their new stats combined with brands make for an unstoppable army of them, which is more powerful. I think it should be than we would have liked, so we are toning down his stats. The health increase is more than the critical hit chance increase nerfs so that all traders are more in line with their glass cannon theme as it was intended by the original developers. Completely agree with this. Okay, let's move on. Queen Katimandua. New stats. Druids and ogres train in 40% less time and have 40% more health compared to the old, which would be 25%, 25%. So it's quite a huge buff when you think about it. And it could be some nice, interesting strategy going for some druid spam where you get a lot of druids, and druids are pretty good. Might even try like go pure druids for some legendary quest. Could be worth trying out. Not only that, priest units don't, or rather, enemy units in legendary quests don't get bonus versus priest units. So priest units are already pretty good in legendary quests. Because the enemy units don't get the bonus damage, your priest units, you could say they have actually twice as much health compared to like normal unit. If you have like, let's say, spearman with 600 health in legendary quest and druid with 300 health in legendary quest, you could notice they are actually about their tanky, or their toughness is about the same. So this is a huge buff. I definitely want to try the druid spam now because it could be interesting. Definitely looking forward to it. I think it's pretty good. Like, yeah, sure, get your priest units out as soon as possible. Definitely, I'm gonna try this for myself. See, Queen Boudica. Okay, who cares? Chieftain Doomnorix, and this is big one. New effect. Caravans cost 25% less and move 8% faster. From the old effect, caravans cost 50% less and move 10% faster. Now I'm one of those people that actually called for Doomnorix nerf, because when you take a look at this, it's like he does so much. In my opinion, he does so much, and then he does it so well. I mean, think about it. 50% less. That's already food and wood bonus for you, so you're saving a lot. When you think about it, caravans cost 50 food, 50 wood base, so for each caravan you would save 25 of both wood and food. And you don't train small amount of caravans in quest, so you train how much? Like, let's say you train at least 30 caravans. So that's what? That's 750 food and wood, right? Yeah. So that's 750 already for 30 caravans. You save it. Plus, they move faster, so they also generate more gold over time. So that's also a gold bonus for you. And 750 food wood, that's not a small amount. Like, and you can also go even more. That's another thing. You can go for more caravans than just 30. So it's pretty huge as it was. And you could also like focus on the caravans, and because of their lower cost you could afford the caravans earlier, so you could start with the caravans production, or rather mass production, early in the game. You could get so many caravans, you get just so much gold early. It was pretty huge in my opinion. Now about the nerf, I totally agree with the movement speed. I'm not against it. I think this is, but the cost, I think this is overkill a little bit. This is a little bit overkill, and personally I would put it to 35%. I think this is overkill. You'll soon see like the buffs for some advisors, and you might agree with me that this might be like huge overkill. And personally I would just put it to 35%, maybe even 40%. You'll see. Personally, I would put it 35%, and that would be my number. Okay, here's the comment. You guys probably saw this one coming. As the uncontested best in slot H2 advisor in the game, Chieftain Dumnorix had dominated the advisor scene since his creation in 2012. This original effect is so powerful that players would rarely pick any other advisor in H2. Don't look at me, I would never pick Dumnorix. The only time if I ever picked Dumnorix, then it would be on very rare occasions, and it would be because I had no other idea how to do the quest. Since it would be some fast quest. Like, I would see a few quests where I would pick him, but that would be it. And would just pick him for the H2 slot advisor and never change it again. By toning down his power level quite substantially and making other options available in H2, we hope to see more diversity in players' selection of advisors in H2. We will be keeping a close eye on this change and will make further adjustments as needed. Like I said, the cost is too huge in my opinion, and from now on I would say from Dumnorix being the #1 Bronze Age advisor, I would say he's going down quite deep right now. And this is a good advisor as an example. Why? Lord Eokite Muikmeron. New effect. All units cost 20% less gold and train in 5% less time. The old effect, all units cost 10% less gold. So they pretty much doubled the gold cost reduction and added train time reduction. I'll be honest, this is huge. This is huge. Like I was expecting maybe some buff to this guy when Dumnorix is in the game. Like I was thinking like, hey, he might be buffed. Especially when you compare the old stats. Ignore the cost and go for the movement speed. I think that the movement speed is actually 10% gold income from caravans. And the gold cost also is part of gold. So pretty much the gold cost, I'm just gonna make it short. Okay, the gold cost would make you train more units than the caravan income, pretty much. I'm just gonna say, let's say you have enough gold to train 100 units over 100 units, like certain units, 100 times. You earn the gold in certain amount of time. Now, imagine Dumnorix. With the 10%, you'll get 10% more gold by the same time. So that means 10% more units. So you would get 110. With Muikmeron, 10% less gold means for every 9 units you get 1 for free, pretty much. So you would not get 110 units, you would get actually 111 units, and even a little bit more. You would also save some gold. So gold wise, Muikmeron would be more effective. The thing is that you have to spend the gold on the units, but you could also consider spending the gold on techs, and this is where Dumnorix would be better, right? Because you get more gold, you could decide where to put it. And also, Dumnorix was affecting food and wood, thanks to the cheaper caravans. So why would you ever go Muikmeron over Dumnorix? And now the new effect. This is a huge nerf, honestly. Okay, so now, if your units cost 20% less gold, you could say that you actually can train 25% more units for the same amount of gold. Without Muikmeron than without Muikmeron. Yeah. So with Muikmeron, 25% more units for the same amount of gold than without Muikmeron. Also, you train all units and It's in 5% less time. Remember, this is all units, so this should affect everything. Villagers, military units, caravans as well. So now tell me, why should I go with Doomnorix now when I can grab Muikmeron and literally get more villagers in time, get more units in time, and also save more gold. And not only that, the 20% gold cost reduction also means you get like 25%. You could say you're like getting 25% more gold over time, but if you're spending it on units. So you could say 25% higher gold income. Why should I go for 8% higher gold income when I can get 25% higher gold income? Not only that, not only from caravans, from gold mining as well, from selling resources as well. This is actually pretty huge, and I say right now, this is quite a big overbuff. Quite a huge overbuff. This is huge. This is just huge. This, in my opinion, this guy should get nerfed right away. Right away. As he is right now, I think he should be like 15% and without the train time. That's my opinion. Then I would also agree with the Do Not X nerf. This is just overkill. This is just huge overkill. I would agree with the Do Not X nerf if this was just a 15% gold income. Right now, this is just huge. And you can see that this is actually killing Doomnorix real hard. Because why should I get more gold when I can save the gold? It's really huge. I think this is huge, and the train time at least is a mistake. But let's see the comment. See Chieftain Doomnorix advisors. See Chieftain Doomnorix advisors that affect all units can be powerful and viable options, but we think that the original stats simply weren't enough to warrant them being considered for the H2 advisor slot. So we are buffing their stats a bit. I don't think this is a bit, this is overkill. Right there. But maybe I'm wrong, who knows? I just see this and nope, I don't like it. Let's move on. Rockhound Erastos. New effect, villagers gather 25% more stone from stone mines and have 50% conservation. Old effect, villagers gather 25% more stone from stone mines. Okay, this one might be a little bit confusing for you, but the buff is actually not that huge as it looks. In the old effect, this is actually not mentioned here, and I said it with RPEP because like it's not mentioned there. But Erastos is one of those advisors that actually gave you the conservation for stone from stone mines. So the effect was gather 25% more stone, which means the gather rate, and also you would get 25% conservation. So now here it's actually just described that you have 50%. So pretty much the whole buff here is doubling the conservation. It went from 25% to 50%. That's the whole change here. So pretty much you can use Erastos on a lot of quests actually, where you need a lot of stones. And you can use the stone on towers, you can use the stone on town centers, armor upgrades, wherever you like. I found him quite useful on a quest like Holy Man, where I wanna get my town center as soon as possible, so the speed is really nice. But now with the conservation, I can get so much stone that I can get my town center, I can get my walls, and I can get enough stones for some number of armor upgrades. So I think he was already pretty good. So this is just a small buff. I mean, if you have him, you get 500 more stone from a stone mine. That's pretty huge. Like 500 stone, could you get with 500 stone? You could get like 3 towers. Hang on, wait, I'm wrong. You're getting 250 now. This buff is you get 250 stone more than with the old Erastus. So 250 stone. Hey, you could afford the towers. Hey, you can afford, I don't know, like first 2 tiers of a certain armory upgrade. That's pretty huge. And it's per stone mine, so this can be quite nice. The buff is not that huge in my opinion, but it's definitely worth. And you might definitely consider using Erastos, especially on quests where you're limited on stone. But again, you might just use the market to buy it. It's up to you. Come and see Netmake. I think Netmaker. God damn it. Okay, let's move on. Penny Pincher Kratos. New effect. Armory upgrades cost 50% less and research 35% faster. Armories cost 50% less and build-in 35% less time. The old effect, armory upgrades cost 50% less. So pretty much, you get your armory upgrades faster, you build your armories for less, and you also build them faster. For me, Kratos was always about getting those armor upgrades as soon as possible by saving the resources. And this buff is just an overkill in my opinion as well. This is just huge. So pretty much this is like, you wanna think about it this way, you wanna get your armory upgrades as soon as possible. What will you do? You pick Pinch Kratos now. With the old Kratos, you just get them faster just because they were cheaper. Now, not only they are cheaper, you get them faster because you research them faster. Not only that, you also can build more armories for the same price. You can double the amount of armories than you usually build. So I typically build like 2 armories. So now I can afford all 4. And what can I do with those 4? I can seriously get all the 4 techs getting researched. Not only that, I also save the time for building those. But it's not like 50%, but hey, it's there. It's something that should help. So pretty much, how would I describe it? Research faster. I guess that's minus 25% research time. Not 25, 35% research time. It's just huge overkill. I would say the best description is like, hey, you get twice as many armories, and you pretty much can do your research is twice as fast. Not only twice as fast, you can do it even faster because you get the research time. God, this is huge. This is huge. Personally, I find this really viable if you're playing as Persian and going for Immortals, because then you can build all those 4 armors and get all your techs, because Immortals get affected by all 4 upgrades, so that's pretty huge already for Persians. So I find this really useful on Persian. In some quests, where you wanna rush your armor upgrades, this can be really huge. I think this buff is like not needed. It's just an overkill in my opinion. Like this is for some super fast armor upgrades. Believe me, I don't even know how quickly you could be done with this. It's just an overkill in my opinion. Sea Chieftain Doom Norix. It's an overkill in my opinion. Really huge overkill. Good thing is that once you get all the armor attacks, he becomes useless, so he's not affecting it anymore. It's just, hey, save you time researching and maybe a few units early, because you can get those techs sooner. And then I think this is mainly about the resources. You pretty much save 100 wood per armor, and that's about it. Other than that, it's about saving time. Let's move on. Minor Cleon. Villagers gather 20% more gold from gold deposits and have 40% conservation. Old effect, villagers gather 15% more gold from gold deposits. So this one is pretty much the same thing as with Erastos. So he would have 15% gold conservation as well. So now it would be increased to 20%, and then the conservation would also get doubled again. This is quite huge. So pretty much get 5% faster gold gathering rate plus 25% gold conservation. That's not a small amount, like 40%. That's 1200 more gold per gold deposit. If we are talking about the standard 3000 gold deposit. That can be pretty huge. This definitely helps you early game with your gold until you get your caravans running. So I think again, if you're having issues with gold or you're limited on gold, Cleon can be a really good choice. You might also consider him. Okay, let's move on. Lucky Lookout Leucon. New effect. Scouts deal 100% more damage to huntables, move 15% faster, and see 15% farther. Build 100% faster and have 50% more health. Compared to the old effect, I'm just making sure the move speed has been increased by 5%. Line of sight has been increased by 5%. And added the build rate and health. I see they want Leucon being picked. The only issue I see is it really worth? First of all, he's an H1 advisor, so pretty much you are sacrificing some good economy advisor for a scout advisor. Your scout dies, this advisor becomes useless. The only time I see this advisor worth, is like you start a quest, it's a new quest you've never seen before. You wanna scout it as much as possible on your first run. So you take a scout, you put the lookout, the legendary line of sight scout gear, you grab Leucon and just to scout the map, your starting location, just to see what's around you. Because of the health, your scout can survive longer, including the movement speed, he can survive much longer actually. And you just scout the map. And then, well, you just change the advisor, you change the gear as you like, and that's it. You know the map, you know the layout a little bit. Why would you pick this advisor again? Is it needed? I don't think so. Like those changes, those are big, not gonna lie. But once your scout dies, if you can utilize the scout really well using all the bonuses, like kill the huntables as soon as possible, move fast so you can survive longer, use the health so you can survive longer. Yeah, if you can utilize the scout, this might be good advisor. But I just don't see a reason why should I use him when I can go some good economy advisor like Irene, like the buffed Erastos, Cleon. I can go Tutmos. I can go Agathon. I can go Leonorius for Spearman. Why should I pick this guy? That's what I'm asking for. Why should I pick this guy over any other advisor? I just feel like he's not great. He's not good. He's not worth, in my opinion. Like he does so much, but you're not gonna pick him because you would be sacrificing good economy advisor. Like, I don't see the reason to pick him. I don't see a reason to buff my scout. A unit that just at some point is gonna die, and then this advisor does nothing for me. Instead, I could have picked Irene, could have saved some resources on economy, and while aging up, I can get my storehouse upgrades right away. and it goes up to Golden Age. Every ship gets some Golden Age storehouse tech as well, and I could have buffed my economy as soon as possible. I could go with Leonorius and make my spearmen stronger throughout the whole game. Like, yeah, I just don't see this one being useful. Not at all. Like, the buffs are nice, and pretty much it's just, hey, build your watch post as soon as possible, and that's about it. Like, but even then, I don't see the reason picking this guy. I don't like him. It's not that he's bad, it's rather, why should I pick him over any other economy advisor? Or Leonorius. I think there are better choices in H1. He's just not worth picking in my opinion because there are some better advisors. A lot of better advisors. Here's the comment. So, some advisors have rare uses by design. This one is one of them. So we are just giving him a few more stats to make him a more viable pick on those rare situations that you want to really buff up your scouts. Yeah, unless you're really using your scout really well, I don't see a reason to pick him. Like, if you can use scout really well, no reason. Let's move on. Leonidas. Move to H3 from H4. It's actually quite huge. How huge, however, that's a question. Because now he's in Silver Age, and I need to mention, if you don't know what Leonidas does, he buffs hoplites, he gives them 1.5 health per second and 50% health. So he's about tanky hoplites. So now that he's in H3, you can go Leonidas in H3, you can go like Theocles in Golden Age for 10% infantry health, and you can get much tankier hoplites. Like, those hoplites can get quite a lot of health all of a sudden. The thing is that I see as a problem here, there might be some good Silver Age advisors that you would rather pick over Leonidas. And like, imagine Quest, you playing and you cannot get siege. You're not gonna pick Leonidas because you wanna destroy buildings. So instead of Leonidas, you're gonna go Sohrab or maybe even Pamphilos. The only reason I could see picking Leonidas in Silver Age would be like, hey, I'm going for hoplites, I have access to siege, let's go Leonidas. My hoplites will last longer. Why not, right? Personally, I like this change because I am never gonna use Leonidas in Golden Age. Because I don't have a reason. I can just go Agamemnon, buff my ranged units, buff my siege units and everything, and Greeks have really good ranged units. And even then, if I have access to siege, I can just go, I don't know, Seleucus. I can go Themistocles. So yeah, for me, picking Leonidas is like impossible because I think there are advisors that make more sense. Moving him Silver Age, I think he just becomes like another good choice for Silver Age, like this. That if you have access to siege, you don't know what to pick for your Silver Age advisor, you can go infantry movement speed, you can go, I don't know, range bonus damage versus buildings, you can go Leonidas and make your hoplites tankier. So I like this change, but I think it's good only when you have access to siege. Other than that, I don't think you're gonna pick him. But he definitely makes more sense in Silver Age. Comment CX for Agwald. Yeah, definitely makes more sense like this. Okay, King Nanos, new effect, docks and markets cost 75% less and build in 75% less time. Old effect, docks and markets cost 75% less. So yeah, pretty much they are just built in less time. Question is it really worth picking this guy? I think I could see like few options where I could pick him, and that would be like I'm trying to like set up some trade, and then I want to go for like markets and dogs so I can full so I can get my trade as fast as possible. And I started thinking if this could be like alternative to, and what's his name? Pericles, I think. Pericles for the faster merchant transports with increased gold carry capacity. I think that one. I think it could be like replacement because then you could build more docks. Like you build 4 docks for the price of one. Like that's pretty huge. And now you also build them faster. I think it could be interesting replacement to Pericles. So it's rather up to you whether you wanna get your merchant transports running as soon as possible or do you want them more effective. And that's about it. For market, who cares? Like yeah, you could like try to set up few markets early, but because this is Bronze Age, otherwise those caravans will be expensive, so you could not afford it. I think it's more about the dogs setting up the trade route, and that's about it. So definitely, I would consider this guy on Euphrates in this order, and that's about it. Could be few options. Sea Chieftain Doomnorix. Explorer Pythias. New effect. All ships cost 20% less and move 10% faster. Old effect. All ships cost 15% less. So they buff the ship cost reduction and other movement speed. I personally found Pythias like pretty good as he was already. So now buffing him. It's about like affording the ships rather than making your ships better. I mean, in Silver Age, you have 2 other competitors. You have Good Sailor Amon for maximum range and line of sight for your ships, and General Battleship Whip for 25% health on your ships. Well, typically your economy late game is pretty huge, so Pythias quite is gonna become quite bad once you have your economy running. But when you reach Silver Age and you want to get your ships out as soon as possible, I think he's better for that. I don't really care about the movement speed personally, but it could be good for microing actually. No, that actually makes sense. If your ships move faster, you can micro them. Because they move faster, the enemy projectiles could fly further away. So you might avoid the enemy damage much better with the movement speed. That actually makes sense. Could be interesting. This could be interesting for microing your ships. If you're microing your ships, definitely makes sense with the movement speed and definitely could become an interesting choice. If you're bad with micro, then the other two could be better choice for you. It's not a huge buff that I would say, hey, it's super overpowered, but it's definitely an interesting option now, so definitely could be a good one. Okay, what's the comment? There is an advisor for buffing ships stats in every age, but we felt like the age-free option wasn't as powerful as he could be, so we are increasing his power level a little bit. I don't know, I think it was pretty good, but if you're buffing him, it's not that huge buff, but I'll take it. The cost is definitely not that huge buff. The movement speed could be interesting, and since it's not affecting the combat directly, I think with this, like, you can save a lot of ships, and if your ships are dying, you still save a lot of resources, so that's pretty huge. Could be interesting, could be interesting. Trainer Thought. New effect. All units cost 15% less food and train in 5% less time. All units cost 8% less food. the old effect. So pretty much this is like Muik Meron, but it's on foot. I would say this is actually also pretty huge. Again, the train time should affect every single unit. So again, villagers, military units. That should also affect the navy, right? Now that I'm thinking about it. God, this is huge. This is huge. Why is this a thing? Again, I agree with the buff, like making it better at the cost reduction. But would I make it that huge? Would I add the train time? No. I think 12% would be more than enough, in my opinion. But hey, if you agree with me or not, just make sure to leave a comment below the video. Oh boy. I'm just gonna say, since it's food, it affects villagers, it affects caravans. God, this is another thing. Like, it's almost as good as the Dumnorix cost reduction, right? But only food. But this is affecting also villagers. So you can focus less on food. You can put the villagers on wood and then get your caravan. And you also train them faster. Like I said, this is just huge. Like this is another one of like it just becomes huge. And yeah, this is also great because you can use the food on your military units, which again are also cheaper. So like if you're playing as Greeks, your spearmen are much cheaper. But straightforward, your infantry units, your cavalry units, much cheaper. Villagers, much cheaper. Also train faster. Caravans, cheaper, train faster. Again, I think this is huge. I'm not sure if I would say Thought is better than Muikmeron or vice versa. I'm just gonna say both of them are really good. And I think it's up to your preference. Saving food means I get my villagers out sooner and put them on something else than food. Saving gold means my well, saving gold means my units are cheaper, but not my villages, not my caravans. So it would be I would say Muikmeron is worse for economy, better for military. I guess that's the best I can say. Still missing the text anyway. So I think this is huge. I'm just gonna say this is huge. Sea Lord Eoka and Muikmeron. Both of those are just huge. I think that it's up to your preference for these two. Okay, Lumberjack Toothmoss. New effect. Villagers gather 12% more wood from trees and have 25% conservation. Old effect. Villagers gather 8% more wood from trees. So, he got pretty huge buff. And this is actually the one advisor that did not have the conservation, unlike Erastos or Cleon. So the buff, pretty much 50% increase. That's pretty huge, like from 8% to 12%. That's huge. And you need wood. You need wood. Now you also get 25% conservation. That's huge. So pretty much the small trees which have 100 wood give you now 125 wood. The bigger ones have 200, so they give you additional 50 wood. This is huge. So if you're planning to go for like navy, you're planning to go ranged units, you're planning to go siege, Tutmos might be good addition. And not even then, even if you're not going for those, you still need wood to build your base. You need wood to build your military production. You need wood to build houses. You need wood to build farms. And so on and so on. You need wood for caravans. Again, caravans. So personally, I think he was already really good. This, I think Tutmos might become the number one H1 advisor being picked. Well, and if not number one, then he's definitely in the top 5. He's definitely in the top 5 right now with this change. I think this is really huge. I think this is huge, and with the conservation, this is actually pretty huge for Babylonians because they already have their tech for 3 conservation, so they get even more wood. And Babylonians have a lot of ranged units. So this is huge. I think really good. If you're planning to go navy, this might be your number one. Otherwise, you're going ranged units, could be number one. If you're planning to go siege, again, could be number one. Like, if you're planning to go navy, definitely your choice. The others, it's up to you. Definitely, this is definitely huge advisor right now with this change. So I definitely say, hey, this guy is gonna become one of the best. And he was already pretty strong. He just did not get picked that much. Scene and maker up. Okay, let's move on. Trajectory Specialist Demo. New effect. Palintorons, stone throwers, and log throwers can attack and see 25% farther. Stone throwers and log throwers attack 25% faster. Old effect. Palintorons and stone throwers and log throwers can attack and see 35% farther. So the range has been nerfed by 10%. And the throwers got attack rate as well. So pretty much it's a nerf for Palintorons. And personally, I'm kinda interested in like what this buff actually does. It could be very interesting to see like stone thrower or log thrower army, and just with the attack rate you could like demolish the whole army with just those units, and all you need is some good front line. Like, I wanna see this strategy now. I wanna see that. Palintorons being nerfed. I don't care about Palintorons right now. Like, for me, picking Timo is like very rare that I don't really care about Palintorons. Like, most of the time, I don't really need Timo. Like, Timo is huge. Don't feel like I need him that much. Because Palintorons already have that huge range. Throwers don't, but even with Timo, it would not be that great, in my opinion. So now, I think this change could be interesting. I definitely want to try some thrower strategy. Go like Norse, log thrower. For H3, I would go like, I don't know, Havard for the Hajar buff, and just use Hajars as a tank unit, use some Chief behind them to buff their health, and then just throwers throwing the logs and demolishing the armies with my log throwers. This could be actually interesting. I wanna try it now. Personally, I don't think Timo needed that much nerf. I think it's rather the Palinton on the unit itself that needs the nerf. But this change I definitely like. I don't think like the 10% makes that much difference for the throwers, but for Palinton it's gonna make some difference. And the attack rate makes the throwers more viable and more interesting choice to go for. Definitely looking forward to try something like that. Okay, here's the comment. Another one of those advisors whose power level was way more than nearly every other advisor in the same age. I mean, yeah, he was good, but he was not like needed. Like, it's not because he would be that strong, it's because the Pythons were already strong. You do not need Timo at all most of the time. Like, it would be so rare for me to even pick Timo. With the old stats of trajectory, specialist Timo players would be able to increase the range of their Palintorons so much that they would be able to hit their targets from multiple screens away. That's actually true, and it would be insane. It goes without saying that there is definitely something wrong with this since there's no counterplay to it. However, alongside a global nerf to the range and line of sight increase, there is a substantial attack speed buff for stone throwers and log throwers added into the effects of the advisors so that those two units can compete a little better with Palintorons. As with Chieftain Doomnorix, we will be keeping an eye on how this change affects the game and will make further adjustments as needed. Yes. Yes, please. Okay, move on. Savvy Merchant Xeno. New effect. Caravans trade for 30% more gold and trains in 15% less time. Old effect. Caravans trade for 20% more gold. Moved to H2 from H4. So first of all, I agree with him being moved to the Bronze Age. I think in Golden Age he's just not worth, because by the time you reach Golden Age you typically have your caravans already trained. You have so many that you don't really need Xeno. You already are earning enough gold to train your army. So that's one thing. I agree with that. But increasing the gold trade, I'm okay. If you've buffed Muikmeron to minus 20% gold cost, then getting this to 30% is okay with me. You might be asking why. When when you go with Muikmeron, you already get the effect since the Bronze Age. So when you are training the units, you're just saving the gold and you're getting the gold already. With Xeno, you actually have to build a market. You have to start training the caravans. Before you get those caravans, it takes a while. It takes a while. So for me, Muikmeron is better for early game. Xeno is better for late game. Now you might say, hey, the train time is there. That's true, the train time is there, but the caravans cost quite a lot of resources, like 50 food, 50 wood. That's pretty huge. And now you also speed up their training, so you get them out faster. But also that means if you want to keep the production, you have to spend more resources on them in time. So that takes a while. Be careful with that. And if you're asking why not move him to Silver Age, that's because you could combine it with Doom Nordics and it could make some strategies really stupid. Like imagine Wool Traders. Like right now they are squishier, so if Xeno was in Silver Age, you get Doom Nordics, you get so many caravans so fast, you can start producing the Wool Traders so soon. It would be insane. And not only that, imagine even Capri's Coin Curator elephants. Like those elephants cost only gold. You will get so much gold. Not only that, you will get the trade gold, you will get the movement speed on your cameras. Huge gold income. Personally, I say it's kind of overkill with the trade and the addition of trade time. Because now my question is, why would I go for advisors such as Village Elder? Why would I go for Village Elder when I can get Xeno? But the thing is, Village Elder helps me produce villagers as well. And he's again better for early game. So that might be good, like argument why to pick rather Village Elder over Xeno. Village Elder is better early. Xeno doesn't kick in until you get your caravans out. Yeah, exactly. So Xeno is better later once you have your caravans running. And most of the other advisors are gonna be better because they help you early. And sometimes it's just better to survive the early game over getting huge buff for late game. Also, I forgot to mention, like with Muikmeron and was Tot, it could be a good thing to think about with the train time addition. Like, which, which advisor would you pick? Muikmeron, Tot, or Village Elder? That would be a good question. Village Elder helps you get more resources because you get out your economy units faster. Weak Metal helps you only with gold, Odd helps you only with Yeah, it could be interesting to think about what is better. But overall, Xeno, I think again it's overkill, but I'm fine with that. Since he does not kick in until late game. I would say remove the train time, to be honest, and just get the 30% gold trade. If you wanna, if you want him buffed for the 30% gold, I still think if he was just moved to Bronze Age, he would be good enough. Like this, I am afraid that it might be like overbuff. But hey, still you cannot afford the caravans that much, so he might not be broken until the late game. Okay, so you're investing early game advisor into the late game power creep. So for me, hey, it's okay. Okay, here's the comment. See Chieftain Doomnorix. We intend Save Merchanzino to be Chieftain Doomnorix's main competitor in the H2 Caravan Advisor slot, so we are moving him to H2 from H4 and buffing his stats. I think there's more competitors than just Xeno. We'll see in time. Okay, Lord Viriatos. New effect. All units are 50% more resistant to conversion and deal 50% bonus damage against priest units. All effect was just a conversion resistance. So yeah, this advisor pretty much is just getting buffed to help you deal with enemy priests. So not only your units don't get converted that fast, you also kill those enemy priests faster. Yeah, pretty much I hate enemy priests as well, so why not pick this advisor? Could be interesting. The question is if it is worth picking him over some other advisors. That might be a good question. And also good question could be like, is it actually worth? Because most during most quests the enemy priests are typically pre-placed. So I don't think it's like completely worth getting him just to kill the priest. And it might be just better to snipe those priests with your ranged units or siege units. And if you're thinking about the boss priests in Giza or Helheim, I'm telling you, you don't need this guy. You don't need this guy. I think you don't really need this guy. I think there are quests where I like using him, but I never feel like hey it's completely necessary. But yeah, some quests I could see this guy being used. But you should definitely ask, is it worth picking him over any other advisor? I think this buff is nice. It just helps the anti-priest team. So why not? The comment. Lord Viriatos, while having a very interesting effect, didn't seem to be strong enough for players to consider him, especially in H3. Giving all units bonus damage against priests on top of being more resistant to conversion makes him the ultimate anti-priest advisor. Personally, I hope there will be like quests where the enemy are actually training the priest. So I could see Viriatos being as a really good choice for that quest. I definitely hope for some quest like that. Other than that, I just don't find him like good choice just because hey they have priest, let's go Viriatos. I don't see that as an option. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some more priest quests. Maybe then. Let's move on. Seed Master Agape. New effect, uh, farms cost 50% less and build in 50% less time. Old effect, farms cost 50% less. So they added the build time again. I see Agape as a good choice if you are trying to get your farms as soon as possible while also saving the wood. So pretty much, hey, you want to get your farms faster, this is your advisor. I think it's something similar to Kratos with the armory upgrade. So if you like it, if you're trying to get your farms as soon as possible, this is your choice. Kratos is about armor attacks Get them as soon as possible. This is about farms. Get them out as soon as possible. See Netmaker up. Why should I see Netmaker up about the Bronze Age advisor? Yes. Let's move on. And this one is actually, I got very interested in what he would do. Leather Worker Ptolemais. New effect. Toxotai and Gastraphetes deal 30% bonus damage against infantry and siege units and have 50% more armor against splash damage. Old effect, Toxotai and Gastraphetes have 30% more armor against infantry units. So when you take a look at the old effect, I said it in my Golden Age Advisor video, it's really bad. Because if the enemy infantry ever get close to your ranged units, you're doing something wrong. So you should never use the old Ptolemais. The new Ptolemais, however, sticks to the anti-infantry team, but instead of getting armor, you get bonus versus infantry, which I like and makes more sense than having the infantry armor. So this could be interesting on some quests, especially where there's a lot of infantry. And also, you get bonus versus siege. Don't forget, the Greeks get attack that affects both Toxotes and Gastraphetes for bonus versus siege. So getting additional 30% is actually bigger than it looks. Having the armor against splash damage, if you don't know what this means, and hopefully I'm not wrong about this, this means that units that do splash damage, such as Berserkers, Ballista, Catapults, Champions, those units do splash damage, the AoE damage. So this armor should help your units to survive the splash damage from those units. So if you're dealing with like Berserkers, they won't easily one-shot your units in groups. And instead, your units will take a little bit longer. Maybe they'll survive additional hit. Who knows? And you also are dealing bonus damage against Berserkers. This is actually really good. This is actually really good. If I'm not mistaken, there are not many ranged units doing splash damage. There's only the Carpenters, but those already do bonus damage against ranged units too. So if you see like Elite Carpenter, you might not survive that at all. War Chariots need Sargon for that, so you won't see those. And oh yes, Elephant Archers. Those just do a lot of damage. You won't survive those either. Maybe you will. Maybe you will because they can miss. So it might be interesting. Can you survive the Elephant Archer? Like at least one shot, so your units don't die that fast. I think the biggest difference you're gonna see on catapults and ballista. That's gonna be the biggest. Personally, I see this as a good change, and a quest where I would use this one, and it came to me like I was thinking about Battle of Timbra, because that's a quest where you fight mainly infantry and siege. So why not use this advisor there? Now obviously I'm thinking only about the main base. I'm not thinking about the what's it called, the outposts capturing, because there's more coming at you. So for me, dealing with the main base, definitely this can be a really huge advisor. This can be a really huge advisor for Battle of Timbra. I would still say it's rather situational because depends what quest you're doing, and typically you're not fighting infantry only that often, and siege units, that depends on quest where it's needed, but it can definitely be useful. So for me, this advisor from useless becomes at least situational right now, and I'm definitely looking forward to trying on some quests. Definitely can be an interesting choice. What's the comment? Yeah, we are not sure why this advisor existed in the first place, and especially why it was in age 4. This change should at least make him a consideration. I agree. I agree. Like this infantry armor just did not make sense that much. I mean, if it was for like peltasts, that would maybe make a little sense, but then why would you go peltasts? Let's move on. Prince Sesostris. New effects. Priests of Ta cost 1 less population and convert and see 50% farther. Temples of Ta cost 50% less. Odd effects, I'm just gonna say they removed the Priestess of Rahil, they removed the Priest of Set conversion and line of sight, conversion range and line of sight, and the temple cost is affected only by Temple of Ta now. So pretty much, Princess Ostris became purely about Priest of Ta. So one less population stayed. Personally, I don't really care about this change because how many Priests of Ta do you actually train? Like they have AoE conversion, so I could see like you trying to train more so they can actually like get better chance at converting the units. But I never felt like training that many. What I like about this change is the next part. Convert and see 50% farther. Obviously Temples of Ta cost 50% less. I would personally add also build time because Temples of Ta just take forever to build. Because this is Golden Age, you need Temple of Ta to actually reach the Golden Age. It would make sense if you could also build them faster. Other build time as well, like I would agree with that, so I can actually train those Priests of Ta. Other than that, it's just gonna take forever to train one. What if the cost it should be a little bit better? Now I'm gonna focus on the range. I don't really think that like the population is gonna make the difference. It's the range that's gonna make the difference. And actually, right here, I took a look. So basically, if I remove this, the base conversion range is 15. That's pretty low. Like take a look at Greek priest. Their base range is 32. So now I'm gonna put here Arbiter's staff, which is the highest conversion range if I'm not mistaken. Add in the Temple of Ra upgrade for your priest to increase the range. You can easily get 26.5 with this. Even further if you have better staff, which you probably should if you take a look at the maximum, it's 26.9. Okay, I'm not gonna put here Sesostris because it's not updated here yet, so I'm just gonna say 50%. That means you get like 40 maximum range. 40. That's pretty huge. When you think about it, this is the base conversion. You give Greek priests upgrade. Still less than 40. That's pretty huge. And don't forget, these guys also have AoE conversion. This might be actually pretty huge. Because you can convert the enemy armies with just the Priest of Ta. You can get them a little bit closer so you can actually reach the enemy ranged units. And you just convert the whole enemy army. You just need something at the front line to keep your Priest of Ta safe. That's about it. Like this could be interesting change. And I recently I did a stream well I streamed few quests where I did pick Sesostris and did go for Priest of Ta. Now I'm considering like doing it again with the new updated Sesostris. Just thinking like which quest would I use it? Where would I use it? Like they're definitely good quests. Like I already like the Priests of Ta on Holy Man because you can convert the orange base, and now with the range, it should be even safer. Shame the Priestess of Ra pretty much got the healing removed because it felt really nice, but because your Priest of Ta now have the conversion range increased, this could be interesting. This could be really interesting to take a look at, and definitely I wanna try it. And I would even consider a few more quests. So why not? I just thought of something. You could grab a priest of Ta. You could send him to the bottom, to the inside. You could send him down below the bottom base. Convert the barracks there. Oh wait, that doesn't make sense. It would be better to just grab Soulback for that. But it could be interesting doing that. Might try that sometime. Yeah, it's hard to say like when I would rather pick Psychosaurus over Sobek, but it's definitely a more interesting choice like this because you can convert the enemy army instead of killing it. Would be interesting. Should try it on some quests. Definitely looking forward to it. It's a nice change. I still think the Temples of Ta should get the build time as well because I mean the base build time is 3 minutes. Like that's pretty huge. So I would add the build time, but other than that, I think it's a nice change, and rather focus on the one priest. Okay, what's the comment? Priests of Ta are one of the most powerful priest units in the game. I agree. This change aims to highlight their strength even more, and we are curious to see how players are going to use Priests of Ta with this advisor after this change. Like previously, it was bad. Like this was not buff to Priest of Ta. This was just buffing your Priestess of Ra. I don't know how much you use Priest of Set, but could be also an interesting. It was also an interesting buff, but for Priest of Ta, it did nothing pretty much. So for me, the biggest change buff was for the Priestess. So now I'm definitely looking forward to see what this does instead. Let's move on. Rostam, Guardian of the Land. And this is actually buff I was interested in since Rostam was pretty bad in my opinion. Asabara have 20% more health. Takabara and mounted archers attack 20% faster and attack and see 20% farther. The old stats: Sparabara move 15% faster, Takabara attack and see 15% farther, Asabara have 15% more health. So first of all, we have a buff for Asabara having more health. And then we got change. So Takabaras got buff for their range and line of sight and getting attack rate. And then you also got buff, the same buff as Takabara for mounted arch. And remove the Sparabara buff. Okay, if we take a look at the old stats, it's something that does not make sense in my opinion because you're like focusing on 3 different unit types. So it was pretty like you, it was adaptive. Like you could decide, hey, do I want to go infantry? I go Sparabara. Do I go do I go ranged units? I go Takabara. Do I go cavalry? I go Asaka. The issue I see in the old, like you don't really need movement speed on your Sparabara. Your Sparabara has super tanky unit. You don't replace them that often. And if I mean, yeah, you're replacing them often, but you're not replacing them that much. For Takabara, why would you go Takabara when you have bowmen that are actually even better than Takabara? Even if with this buff, bowman would still be better choice because higher damage and still better range. The Asabara was the only thing that would make sense, like being good buff and quite unique. The thing is, it was not good enough. It's not. It was not good enough. I actually tried it and it felt like It was not bad, but I tried it with Agamemnon, and with Agamemnon it actually felt better than with Rostam going for Asabaras. Like, so I'm definitely looking forward to see what the health, the 5 additional percent for your health does. So I definitely wanna go and try the Asabaras. And definitely I think Takabara with Rostam you could definitely consider Takabaras over Bowman right now. And you can definitely use Asabaras as your frontline instead. You could even go like Asabara plus mounted archers, like some very similar to the Lancer mounted archer for Babylonian. Personally, I like this change. It makes more sense than the old one. And I think this rather unlocks like the options better than the old Rostam. Since right now I can definitely see, hey, I like Bullman, but I wanna go with Takabaras instead. With the attack rate, hey, it might be even better. So I definitely am looking forward to this. With the addition to the mounted archers, this can be interesting. This can be really interesting, and I definitely want to try this now. Okay, let's see what's to come. The main idea behind the design of Rostam Guardian of the Land was to incentivize. Yeah, I need to take a look at the dictionary and see what this means. Like, what the heck is that word? Incentivize players to make a diverse army rather than just utilizing one single unit in quest. I agree. Yes. However, the original stats of Rostam made him buff 3 units that more or less did the same thing. Exactly. Sparabara, huge pierce armor. Takabara, anti-range. Asabara, anti-range. Countering or tanking pierce damage. Sparabara, Asabara, and Takabara are all effective against ranged units, so we are swapping Sparabara with mounted archers so that you can create a more diverse unit composition. Yeah, that's another thing. Like you take a look at this and huge pierce armor. Huge pierce armor bonus versus range. Some pierce armor bonus versus range. Like this was heavy anti-range, so this definitely felt like an advisor. Hey, you wanna counter range units? We buff your free choices. Just choose one. And still I would rather go with war wagons over this one. Not gonna lie. So yeah, it makes more sense like this. Okay, let's move on. King Nebuchadnezzar. New effect. Lancers and mounted archers deal 15% more damage. Mounted archers have 50% more health. All stats, stable units deal 12% more damage. So pretty much, with the addition of Sargon, Nebuchadnezzar would just get overshadowed. Like, why would you go 12% more damage on stable units? Like, you can literally just buff like 2 of your units even more with the attack rate being 30% and also getting range. Like it did not make sense. So Nebuchadnezzar getting more specifically for lances and all just makes more sense. I'm kind of sad that only the mounted archers are getting the health, but lances are already pretty good, so buffing them even more doesn't make sense. And it rather makes like mounted archers more appealing and trying to like make players not being afraid to use them. Just because they can get hit doesn't mean you have to be scared to use them. Okay, so it just makes more appealing and it should make players less scared of using them. So I definitely am looking forward to this. This could be very interesting change, and I already was using him when I was going for lances only, the or lances plus mounted archers. So I think this could be very interesting change. I like it that it's like specifically to those two. I still think Sargon should be nerfed. It's pretty huge. I like this change. Like it makes sense. Like hey, you're buffing these two, that one buffs those other two. but still, in comparison to Sargon, this is nothing. Like, comparison to Sargon, this is nothing still. I still think they should nerf Sargon. Comment: with the introduction of Chariot Rider Sargon, Chariot Archers and War Chariots now have their own specific advisor, so we are splitting them off from King Nebuchadnezzar's effects, while buffing his stats a bit and adding some health to mounted archers. Also, don't forget, the War Chariots now don't do friendly fire, so Sargon's got also a little buff for the War Chariots. So if you wanna go for War Chariots, it might be an interesting choice instead of the Chariot Archers. If you are having issues like with big armies, it might be more interesting just go with the War Chariots now. So in my opinion, Sargon should get just straight nerf at least a little bit because I think he's just too good. This is a nice buff, like I have nothing against it. Okay, Caprice Coin Curator, new effect, changes War Elephant's cost to all gold but increases their hit points by 10% and reduces their train time and movement speed by 10%. Alt stats changes War Elephant's cost to all gold but increases their hit points by 10% and reduces their train time by 15%. So pretty much again, Caprice got nerfed. I mean, with the addition of like Xeno being moved to Bronze Age, Muik Metal being stronger, although I still don't know how well he's affecting it. How does he exactly affect Caprice, if it's working properly or not? I need to check that one out. Then it would be question whether you go with Thought or Muik Metal. Basically, I don't know. How about you? I think this is some nice nerf. This is actually some big nerf. I mean, the train time being lower makes sense because you can always go Muik Metal and get the 5% back. So why not? The 10% movement speed that can be actually huge. Raiding might not be that easy as it looks now. Is this actually a buff? No, I'm not really sure. Like I'm not sure if this advisor is really worth picking. Like, hey, you just focus on one resource type. That kind of makes sense. But getting 10% movement speed and lower training time, but losing 10% movement speed, I don't know. Like, I'm already not using elephants. I'm someone who rather goes for back, but I don't know. I feel like this is like nerf. I think this is nerf that did not need to happen, honestly. But okay. I would agree with the train time reduction. The movement speed I'm not sure about. But then that's some big nerf again. But let's see what's the comment. This change is aimed to make Hatshepsut Tusk Sharpener also a viable option. Okay, so that's for the Tusk Sharpener. I think Tusk Sharpener is already viable. I would say it's pretty good advisor already. Okay, also a viable option when playing with war elephants. Slower, tankier elephants or faster elephants that deal more damage but have less health, your choice. Makes sense, makes sense. But then I could also say, what about King Brenos versus Vercingetorix? What about Seleucus versus Themistocles? It does not look like it, but Themistocles can actually do you can actually do more damage with ballista with Themistocles than with Seleucus. I think there is a need for some change. And also there's one more change here. I'm gonna comment it later. But it's similar to this one. War Leader Biorix. New effect. Bowmen and skirmishers attack and move 12% faster. Skirmishers deal 75% more damage. in attack and C 25% farther. Odd effect, gold trickles in at a rate of 30 gold 30 per second. Okay, so you no longer get the gold, and you instead get better ranged units. Okay, first let's take a look. So bowmen and skirmishers attack and move faster. So let's start with the bowman. This is actually pretty nice. One reason is bowman champion upgrade actually gives them snare. So because you're attacking faster, you can snare the enemy units faster. Because you're moving faster, you can actually keep your distance away from the enemy units. It's easier to do so. So this can be quite a nice change for your bowman, and definitely worth trying out some micro with your bowman. Plus you do a little bit more damage over time, so this is a really nice change. On the other hand, the skirmishers attack and move 12% faster. For skirmisher, I don't see it as a huge buff since they don't get really anything. So let's move on to the specific buff. Skirmishers deal 75% more damage. With the addition of the attacking, that's almost doubling their DPS. And I'm not joking, it's actually like 96%. So pretty much Bjork says double the skirmisher DPS by almost 100%. We literally double. And also get attack range and line of sight. I'm gonna show you something. Okay, here's the bowman. Unfortunately, again, I cannot show you with Biorix because it's not updated here. So basically, the damage should be higher by 12%. So you should definitely look for some 49-50 damage with this build. And I have the both the Master Hunter, I have Actaeon, I have the Vizier, and Master Assassins. So this is pretty nice DPS, increasing it to like 50 DPS. That's not bad. Plus, you can keep your bowman safe because you have snare. You also get the higher movement speed with Bjorix. So your bowman becomes quite an interesting choice to go for, and definitely it would be something you might consider using. And I already saw some people like using the bowman, so it's not a bad. It might not be a bad thing, but I would say definitely add some meat shield for them, to be sure. But you can definitely try going for some bowman only army, and if you're fighting mainly infantry, maybe even certain cavalry units, would not heavily rely on it, but it could be interesting. It could be interesting choice. But I'm still gonna say, hey, try using the meat shield as well. Skirmish on the other hand, well, okay, the maximum range increased by how much is it? 25%. So that's like 7 additional range. So we could say 36 range, 36, 47. Okay, that's not bad. That DPS being doubled. So we are talking about what? Like 45? Let's just say 45 DPS. Wait, is it 45? Huh? I thought it was worse. It might not be that bad as I thought, actually. But still, 45 DPS? That's actually not that bad as I thought it would be. Like, it might be actually interesting going for skirmishers now. The only problem I see, like, what's like the best unit to compare it to? What could be like the best unit to compare it to? Like Akabaras maybe? Well, with Rostam, definitely worse than Takabara. I definitely am gonna say that it's gonna end up worse. but better against ranged units, definitely. The DPS. Peltas, well, I'm not even gonna talk about Peltas. Okay, I might actually consider this. Might be interesting advisor choice, actually. We are talking about like 45 DPS. That's not a real bad DPS. That's what I can get with like my Gastras if I'm going for range. Hmm, might not be as bad as I thought. Still, I would not say like, hey, it's as good as some other ranged units. I would say it's weaker, but not by much. Might not be a bad choice after all. The only issue I see, these guys cost a lot of wood, like this. That's a lot of wood, like 50 wood for one pulp unit? That's a lot. I'm afraid that it might be just too expensive to like, really go for it. But hey, like I said, you can earn so much gold. Wait, you're going for Guyana. Might not be that easy as well. Well, since they don't cost that much gold, you could actually use your trade gold to buy wood instead. I guess it could be an option to go for. Okay, I might actually try it sometime, but I would not say it's not something I would go for like just skirmisher. I would say add some other units as well. I think Harjars, Berserkers for meat shield, add some skirmishers behind. Yeah, I guess it could be interesting choice. Might not be as bad. Still, I would rather have the gold. Okay, I think this might be actually a very interesting advisor with this. I definitely wanna take a look at skirmishers. It's just their damage is not that huge, but I might try it. I might try it. Okay, what's the comment here? Water Leader Bjork's original effect simply wasn't good enough to make him a consideration in H4. I actually considered him. It was not that bad. Where gold is plentiful and you don't need more of it. But I agree. I think the better thing to say would be like, hey, you earn so much gold, you can actually train less caravans and instead get more military units. That would be the better description for me. So we have reworked him entirely to benefit the Norse ranged units, and we will be keeping an eye on his new stats and effects to see how they affect the meta game. Okay, yeah, I definitely want to see. I don't think he's gonna be like super overpowered, but it might be interesting, like going for ranged units now. Okay, Aristocrat, Apollonius. New effect. Cavalry units have 15% more health, attack 15% faster, and are 20% more resistant to pierce damage. Old effect, cavalry units have 15% more health and move 10% faster. So personally, I'm glad they added the resistance to pierce damage. I think this actually opens more. This makes, in my opinion, Prodromos more viable actually, because one of the biggest weakness I see for Prodromos is the lack of pierce armor. So this addition definitely makes up for it a little bit. I like it, and definitely I would love to pick Prodromos more. Now the addition of the, or rather change from movement speed to attack speed, I kinda hate the fact that now I have a question. Why would I go Solon over Apollonius? If you don't know who Solon is, it's the Golden Age advisor for great chance for your Hippicans. So now I'm afraid this is similar thing to like King Brenos versus Vercingetorix. I kinda hate the attack rate part. It makes me sad that it's overshadowing Solon, because now I don't see a reason to pick Solon. Personally, I found Apollonius already quite good with the old effects, but when you compare him to like Commontorius or Finulfer, you think like, dude, what? Like in comparison to those two, he did so little. But he affected more units, to be honest. Okay, I would say definitely it's a nice change. I find it more useful. Definitely better. Now I would consider even using Prodromos more often with this change. Hippicon, I think Hippicon just gets straight buff. So if Hippicons already are really good as they are, so the issue of them being slower is still there. So I would say it's better to ask, is it better to just go faster Prodromos or slower Hippicon? I think that's the best question I could say. I like this buff, but I hate it at the same time because I don't like that Solon might never get picked once you get Apollonius. We'll see. Okay, comment. Aristocrat Apollonius' original effect, just like Worthy Biotics, simply wasn't good enough. I think it was pretty okay in my book. Like, not super overpowered, it was okay. So we are upping his power level considerably and swapping the extra movement speed with attack speed and some more PS armor on top. Okay, then I'm asking change Solon because like why would I pick Solon now over Apollonius? That's my only issue here. Let's move on. Amethyst of Media, new effect, siege towers have 15% more health, deal 15% more damage and cost 1 less population. All effects, siege towers have 15% more health, deal 15% more damage and can garrison 8 more units. So pretty much a change. Hey, you can get more siege towers over garrisoning more units in the siege tower. Personally, I think garrisoning more units was not that really that useful. Like, hey, you could garrison so many units, you could get the high pierce damage, but was it really worth? Like having a unit 25 population and doing how much damage? I mean, okay, splash, but how much damage was it? And I don't remember how much did I get? Like, I definitely had more than 600 DPS. But 425 pop? Not worth it in my opinion. Not worth it. Okay, so personally I like this change. So instead of like getting the focus on the range attack, just getting more siege towers. It just makes more sense to me, honestly. Like the siege towers are already tanky and they can actually do a lot of damage as well, so having more of them sounds better to me. Is it better? I don't know. Nice thing about the siege towers, since they are siege, again, just like with the priest units, the enemy does not get bonus against siege. So I might actually trying this one out and see like how well does like multiple siege towers affect it. I still don't know about this. Like I don't think it's like that huge buff that it would make me like hey go a lot of siege towers anyway, because I feel like I grab like one, two, and if I'm in good mood, like four. Yeah, sure, I save the population, but still, I think there are better choices anyway. So would be interesting, but I still don't think you'll see that many. Or I don't think I would pick Amethyst of Media that often, anyways. But we'll see. Okay, what's the comment on this one? One of Amethyst of Media's old effects was increasing the number of garrisoned units inside siege towers, increasing the maximum DPS output of them when you had more units in them. However, siege towers being 5 population meant that you simply couldn't fill them all up with enough units to get the desired benefit from having lots of fully loaded siege towers. Yes, so pretty much it was very limited on the numbers of siege towers. If you fully garrison them, this effect would pretty much do nothing. And you would get like what? 3, 4 siege towers max? Yeah, not really worth it. Was interesting, but not really worth it. So this makes more sense to me. It's I guess it's like about a change that makes more sense than anything else. We get the desired benefit from having lots of fully loaded siege towers, so we are taking another approach and making her decrease the population count of siege towers to 4 from 5. This way you can have more siege towers in your army, fill them up with units and get lots of value from them. Well, that still depends, but I agree that it makes more sense. Like this. Does it? You don't get the high damage output, but you can afford more siege towers. Filling them up. Huh, I still don't know. I don't think it's really that great. But I definitely can go for more siege towers. Why not? As with every new content, we'll be keeping an eye on the power level of these advisors based on the community's feedback and will adjust them as needed. A big shout out to Kire and FinishBlock21 for helping us playtest these advisors. Important note, you do not need to loot these advisors again. Yeah, it's been written here of believe everyone. Come on. You do not need to loot these advisors again. All of the mentioned changes will be applied to advisors automatically. Important note too, when you log into your specializations after the patch is live, all of your advisors will be unequipped and you will have to equip them again. But don't worry, you won't be losing any of your existing advisors. Exactly. What do you think about the mentioned changes? What other advisors would you like to see changed and in which way? What is your opinion about reworks towards certain gear types? Let us know in the comments below. Blah blah blah. Free blah blah blah. So yeah, I'm gonna ask you also what do you think about these changes? Make sure to leave comments below. And pretty much yeah, that's pretty much it. Like what would be like your best or your most favorite change? Like if I had to take a look, which change do I seriously like a lot? That makes sense, it's not like something huge. Like there's definitely some nice, there are definitely I feel like they are overkill. If I had to pick one that makes most sense, I guess Ptolemy's actually is my favorite. I guess Exostress is kinda good. I'm interested to see what the French will do to Priest of Ta. I like Rostam. Hmm. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Ptolemy's. I think this is my favorite, most favorite of them all, because it makes it like, hey, it's interesting. It's something I would not consider too overpowered, and it's a nice buff. Like, definitely a nice change. Other than that, I think Rostam is really nice. Sesostris just focusing on the Priest of Ta. Okay, Nebuchadnezzar is not bad. I wonder what the Bioryx will do then. I guess I'll try it out and see. Apollonius. I kinda hate the fact that now I don't see a reason to pick Solon, but I definitely am looking forward to this. Try it out. Hmm. Anything else? Yeah, Timo change is quite nice. Tutmos is pretty huge actually. This could be interesting. Tanky hoplets could be interesting build as well. Other than that, yeah, I think some are overkill, some are just nice. Least favorite. What about the least favorite? I don't know. Like I feel like there are so many overkills. But if I had to say, like I feel like this one does nothing. Like if I had to say, like it's a nice change, but it just feels like it does nothing to me. So it's hard to say, but I guess what's like the biggest overkill? I don't know. I guess like Xeno Moikmeron would be like the biggest overkills in my opinion. So yeah, what do you think about these changes? Leave a comment. I'll leave the links in the description for these, so you can check them out for yourself. Hope you like this. If you did, make sure to like this video, make sure to share it so more people know about this. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, I don't know. Follow me on Twitch, I'm streaming sometimes. Come on guys. All the links in the description. Also, yeah, that reminds me. I'm planning to do some big stream on Tuesday. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. Make sure to show up. Make sure to show up. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at least. I'll tell ya. I'll tell ya when I go live. It's gonna be huge. The most insane. Nobody will believe that I did it until they see it. Okay, I hope you like this. This was Psychosaurus. I hope to see you next time, man. Hopefully on the stream. Bye bye.